grab a drink, and join the chat. Are you living your first-class life? Come chat with me.
Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are tuned in from. This is another episode of First Class Life Chats, and I'm super excited to bring to you another group of phenomenal people that you are going to get to meet. So if you tuned in yesterday, then you heard from some of the co-authors from a groundbreaking new book called First Class Life Devotional. And listen, I had so many messages where people are like, oh my gosh, I was fighting tears. It was so moving just listening to the testimonies, and you're going to get to experience it all over again as we are here with another group of those authors. So if you are new, then allow me to introduce myself. My name is Lindsay Vertner. I'm an award-winning peak potential strategist and transformational speaker. I help high-achieving women who struggle with perfectionism, overthinking, and doubt learn how to truly master their mindset and increase their clarity, confidence, connections, and cash flow. And tonight we are in for a special treat. Now listen, before I introduce my very phenomenal guest, I have something that I need for you guys to see. Okay, so let me cue that up so that you can watch this beautiful trailer of just a little tidbit of what you're about to experience tonight. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let me know in the comments that you are ready, and I will play the video. Also, let me know where you're tuning in from. Put your city, your country down in the comments below, and let's get to it. Enjoy. Wasn't that amazing? Every time I look at that trailer, I get all of the feels, and I'm sure you did too. What you just saw was a sneak peek of 35 phenomenal people that are sharing their testimonies with you, okay? So look at this graphic on the screen right there. First Class Life Devotional, 35 Testimonies of Phenomenal Faith Through Turbulent Times. This is going to be so positively impactful in your life. You have to make sure that you get your copy. So as you are listening tonight, make sure that you connect and follow along with your favorite co-author of this devotional book, because you want to find out how you can get your free digital preview of First Class Life Devotional this Thursday, June 10th. And how are you going to find out that information? By following your favorite co-author. And then after you get your digital preview, they are going to share with you how you can get your signed copy of the actual book. Now, listen, I know you're excited. I'm excited. So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce tonight's special guest, another segment of some of these co-authors. We will start with Miss Vivian Stevens Lyons. Come on up, come on up. Hey, welcome, welcome. And then next up, we have Miss Angela Chantel. Welcome. Miss Nikki Johnson. Hey, hey. Annie Perkins, welcome to the stage. Miss Melissa Pollard, welcome, welcome. Miss Letitia Rush, hey, hey, hey. And last but not least, we have Miss Aisha Taylor on the stage tonight. Just look at these beautiful faces. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shut my mouth for a second, and I'm going to allow each of these phenomenal women to introduce themselves and share a summary of what their story is about, what you can expect. And as you are listening to these stories, I want you to think about something, okay? Your story might not be exactly like theirs, and that's okay. However, there is something that can be learned from each and every person. And even with that, you will no doubt connect with at least one, if not many, many, many people in this devotional book. So make sure you tune in with an open heart and an open mind. And with that said, Miss Vivian, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Vivian Stevens Lyons, and my chapter is entitled The Pain, the Prayer, and the Purpose. And I talk about the trauma that I experienced as a child from the sudden death of my father and my mother's disability directly following my father's death. So that's pretty much what my chapter is all about.
And it is amazing. Up next, we have Angela Chantel. Go ahead and introduce yourself and give them a summary of your story.
Hey guys, I'm Angela Chantel, and I'm from the DC area. My chapter is actually called Father, Why Have You Forsaken Me? I dig deep in the last moments that I had with my mother before she passed away from stage 4 vaginal cancer. So just in my chapter, I'm giving you some ways that I asked the Father, why have you forsaken me?
And I think that's so good that you point that out. I know we're going to get into it more a little bit later, but you know, there are a lot of people out there that you feel like that, but they don't want to admit that they feel like that. Up next, we have Miss Nikki Johnson. Please introduce yourself. Mute.
Hi, my name is Nikki Johnson, and my chapter is for mothers to be who have lost their faith. And it basically talks about my journey from trying to conceive for 20 years and me finally taking the journey to finding my innermost, deepest spirituality and learning how to meditate and getting me through the process and being blessed with a child. So it takes me, I talk about the journey on that road to the results that I have today.
Awesome. Next up, Miss Aisha, go right ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aisha Taylor, and my chapter is about healing the past for a purposeful future. And really what I dig deep in is listening to God. I was really angry at God, but I didn't want to admit I was angry at God because I felt like every time I listened to him, things got worse in my life. And so there was a break between my ability to trust in him. And so my chapter talks about how I reconciled that and learned how to trust the Lord again.
Awesome. Up next, Miss Letitia.
Hi, everybody. My name is Letitia Rush, and my chapter is about finding faith in the valley. Sometimes we find ourselves in a really dark place, and as a single mother and child who's been on her own since I was 16 years old, I had to really dig in and tap into my faith to pull me out some dark places. And so my story is basically about how I tapped into my faith to overcome adversity. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. And next up, we have Miss Melissa.
Hello, my name is Melissa Pollard. I am an inspiring mindset coach, just helping single moms or encouraging them, to just figure out who they are aside from being a mom, remembering who they are again. My chapter is becoming a better team captain. It is about just being a single mom and what I thought it meant as far as society went versus what it actually means to me, and just finding my way and just loving being a mom again.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know there are many, many single moms out there. See, look, I told y'all would be able to connect with at least one, if not many, many, many of these 35 co-authors. Last but not least, we have Miss Annie. Go right ahead.
I'm not nervous at all. My name is Annie Perkins, and my chapter in the story is about how I overcame some traumatic pain through suicide prevention, and how God brought me through walking in that purpose for myself after hiding from the pain and trusting in God that He would have my back and we would be a team.
I love that. I love that. A team with God. Listen, we all can use more of that. So if you are just tuning in, you're watching First Class Life Chats, and we are here with another group of co-authors from the new book that releases this Thursday, June 10th, First Class Life Devotional, 35 Testimonies of Phenomenal Faith Through Turbulent Times. Make sure that you connect with your favorite co-author so that you can find out how you can get your free digital preview this Thursday. And then after that, they can let you know how you can purchase your signed copy of the book. So listen, this book is for everybody. There are literally people of all ages, of all backgrounds, from multiple countries, multiple states. You can connect with someone. This is going to make a big difference in your life and in just your spiritual walk, and help you improve. Even if you are not a believer, this is going to help you to overcome your obstacles. So make sure that you get your copy. Now, before we get into sharing more about their stories, I want to talk about the writing process just a little bit. So let's see. I'm going to pick on a few people here. Tell us a little bit about the writing process, and if you had any fears or concerns going into this movement. We'll start with Annie.
I knew you were going to do that. Okay, so in all transparency, I didn't commit 100%. For a few months into this process. And then when I did commit, I wrote my story out and I was very, very proud of it. And then my story changed 36 hours before the first draft deadline. And it was a complete, I was terrified. I was really terrified. And then but in doing, rewriting, I stayed up over 30 hours trying to get it in at the deadline, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible by my standards. And it was just like, anyways, so it was kind of difficult going back and forth, having to type things and feel things and then erase. And that part kind of got to me because well, I need this part in my story for people to understand where I'm coming from. But there's not enough word count, so you got to like chop and block. So the final version is more than I ever imagined it would be, and I'm just grateful for this opportunity, and I'm just excited. So I went from not being committed for a few months to all in 36 hours to now I'm excited. So
yeah, and that's a whole lesson in and of itself, because how often has God told us to do something and we say yes, but we don't really commit to what he told us to do. And we cause ourselves our own overwhelm and stress and anxiety, right?
I believe the word for the month was obedient. So, or that season was obedient. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Next up, Miss Vivian, come on up and share with the folks. Did you have any fears or concerns in going into this and sharing your story with literally the world? No pressure.
Yes, indeed, Lindsay. Well, when I think initially I was never going to share my story, so I kept procrastinating, and as I listened to the different stories, and as we talked about Battlefield of the Mind when we were in that devotional, one day I shared a testimony, and I broke down and I cried, and then you reached out to me and you said, Vivian, maybe you should share your story. And I was like, no, Lindsay, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. I'm not going to do that. And so with some prompting from you, and I felt like I didn't really have a story to tell, but some prompting from you, I decided to share my story of how I overcame the trauma that I experienced as a child with the death of my father and the disability of my mother. Because I know that someone can benefit from my story. And I want to say, I want to say, first of all, everything that I am is because of God's grace and mercy towards me. And as I look back, over my life, I see the hand of God from the beginning. So, and then I look, and as we were, talking about the story and everything, I even at the last minute, I said, Lindsay, I'm not going to do this. I just can't do this. And I saw something, a note that I had written to myself that one day I should share my story. And so I said, God, okay, you're funny. So then I went ahead with the story. So
yes. I love that. It's always good to have those people around you that can help lift you up whenever you're ready to give up. But we got to keep pushing. So I know that Miss Angela, you also talk about your parents in your chapter. And so, you mentioned about your mom getting sick. Tell us just a little bit more of what that looked like, of how you had to demonstrate phenomenal faith through your story.
Absolutely, Lindsay. With me being an only child and only grandchild, a single mother, and my mom being my rock, my foundation, just to see her just going through the entire experience of stage 4 vaginal cancer, and this started in June of 2020. So it went very fast. So me just having to basically put my big girl panties on and just do what I needed to do in order to keep this household going. And just praying and keeping the faith that I know that she instilled in me all my life. Just keeping that up and keeping motivated and keeping the kids motivated. My grandmother is also here. I don't think I talked about that in the story at all, but my grandmother, she's 88 years old, so she's here, and having her, and it was just a lot of faith, a lot of praying, a lot of just understanding what was going on. Just allowing God to use me to get my mother through that experience, and allowing me to tell my mom that it was, definitely okay for her to pass on. So a lot of faith, a lot of praying, a lot of everything.
Yes, I love that. A lot of faith, a lot of praying, a lot of all the things, okay? All the things.
Everything.
Not just one or the other, but you need the faith, you
Everything.
need the praying, you need the works as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Up next, Miss Melissa, we're going to kind of shift with the parenting. So, you talk about yourself as a parent and how that affected you. Share with the viewers and the listeners how you had to demonstrate phenomenal faith through your testimony.
Yes. So for me, I became a mom at the age of 14. So you have a lot of growing still yet to do. And I was just really caught up in how society viewed a perfect mom that was, doing everything for your kids come first. Whatever your kids need, what you need goes on the back burner. And so that's always been what my thought process was until I was just really burnt out. And it really took me going through and just slowing down and really hearing what God has for me. Really just stopping and to really hear, because I didn't like being a mom anymore, and it was so bad to where I didn't even want to live anymore. And so I really had to lean on God and just his love for me, and just understand that he loves me no matter what, and I deserve to be here.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you share your testimony because unfortunately, there are so many moms that feel that same way. But like you said, the way society makes us feel as mothers, we keep it bottled in, and that's detrimental to our emotional health. And we feel like we're the only ones. And so I love that you share that because I know that so many moms are going to be set free from just your story alone and knowing that, I love my children, but sometimes I am out of my mind. So, how do I fix that? How do I reel it all back in and get back to enjoying these blessings that have been given to me? So, thank you so much.
Yes.
And speaking of the struggles of motherhood, we have Miss Nikki Johnson who shares her story of infertility. Go ahead and tell the viewers and the listeners a little bit more about your testimony, how you demonstrated phenomenal faith. You're on mute.
I'm very nervous. I
There
just want
you
to
go.
yeah, I wanted to actually share my story because I noticed that a lot of African American women were not open to infertility and or looking into like IVF procedures and finding another outlet to try to conceive. And I feel that because I've had this experience, it wasn't a matter of just me kind of like dealing with the struggles, but I wanted to actually help someone else deal with their struggles and to be open to knowing that it's okay to kind of go through this process. But with this whole process, that alone was not going to be successful. And that the the turmoil that I went through to actually conceive was a journey of literally having to go through prayer, learning how to pray, learning how to meditate, learning how to listen and be silent and open myself up to God to ask him, what is it that I'm doing wrong, or what is it that I should be doing to be able to conceive? So having numerous failures and numerous attempts made me realize that I was struggling emotionally with something that I didn't express with family and friends. I had a great life. I felt like that's all God. I felt like God was like, this is what I'm giving you. Be grateful. Kids are not in the works for you. So I had to come to a place of accepting that my husband and I weren't going to have kids. And I had to be at peace with that. And I had to make sure that when I accepted that, that I was totally at peace. But then I also had to pay attention to my intuition, which kept telling me, Nikki, and there was a message that I got, which is another thing that talks about paying attention to your intuition. I one day walked into a church and I wanted to meditate, and I sat in to meditate. The first thing I picked up was a flyer, and it said, "You will have a child." And from that point on, I believed that God's promise was something that was going to come to life. And I wanted to hold on to that despite all of my failures. I continuously held on to that statement. And with believing and meditating and actually listening to my intuition, I was able to grow spiritually. I was able to help others that would never have spoken about infertility or trying to conceive. And after so many years and not giving up, um, it happened for me and my husband. And I cannot tell you the miracle that I see walking around every day. When I see her walking around, I just look at her and I'm like, wow, that's my little blessing right there. Thank you, Jesus. And I thank him every day. And it's all about just getting over that hump and not giving up, always having faith, always believing that God is hearing you and he's with you always.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And speaking of intuition, sometimes we get so cluttered from all the things around us that we're doing, that we're busy doing, that it's hard for us to hear from God. Like we say, God, why aren't you answering our prayers? And He has. We just haven't recognized them because we're too busy with physical clutter, with mental, emotional clutter. And so we have to be able to be still so that we can listen to that intuition and recognize when He is speaking to us.
Yes.
Speaking of that, I know that the next lady on the stage, she had some struggles and had to have her moment where she listened to her intuition about what to do next. Tell them a little bit how you overcame your struggles and obstacles.
Yeah, so one of the things that I realized is that I'm also a single mom. I know there's a number of us on this live today. And so for me, I was struggling because I felt like I was walking in obedience to God. Like I worked in corporate America, did the whole grad school thing, ended up getting what I thought was my dream job, ended up dealing with workplace bullying, which ended up impacting my mental health, my physical health. Hair was falling out, was just in and out the doctor, just sick. And so the doctor told me to go on FMLA or quit, and that's what I did. I ended up working at another company and then it was good for a few months, but then I started to deal with the workplace bullying again. And so ultimately the Lord told me, you're already an entrepreneur, just quit your job and become full-time as an entrepreneur. I did that. And then a couple of months later, ended up pregnant. And then a couple of months after that, the father walked out. And so I'm just sitting here like, okay, Lord, I just gave up my 6-figure salary and now I'm making a fraction of what I used to. And I'm a single mom all by myself. Like, what is up with that? And then going through the challenges of having friends talk about me, friends who I thought were going to be there, not be there for me. And just, I really felt so low. And even dealing with church hurt, throw that into the mix, where I just didn't really feel like I can trust God anymore. And if anybody's familiar with the book of Job, I was like, God, what is going on? Like, every time I feel like I trust you, my life gets harder. Like, what is going on? And I just really had to come to Jesus moment. Like, I felt like I was two-stepping it with the faith, kind of like double dutching, kind of like in or out, in or out. I was like that with God. And finally, he just let me know very clearly, like, you're either in or you're out. Like, you just can't go back and forth. And he did that ironically through like an injury. I was walking, then all of a sudden my hip hurt. My hip literally went out and I couldn't walk anymore. And so that was the thing that got my attention, to let me know that the Lord was showing me that I chose to live, right? And I chose to listen to him, but I wasn't truly living and abiding in him. I wasn't trusting in him. I wasn't in relationship with him. And I did not trust him enough to allow him to restore me. And like some of the other guests said, to allow him to give me the promises that he gave. It's like I believe, but I had so much unbelief that he literally got my attention to help me to be able to trust him again and to be able to rely on him again.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because again, I know that there are so many people in this world that can relate to not trusting God and feeling like we're doing all of the right things, but yet obstacles keep coming and struggles keep happening and we aren't where we desire to be. And so it's like, God, dang, what's going on? And so we start to lose that trust. So I know that your story, as well as all of the other 34 authors, are truly going to make an impact in so many people, and people that don't even know that they need what y'all are giving in this book. Up next, we have Miss Letitia. Tell us about your testimony, because I know that you also talk about some abuse and abandonment and rejection things going on in your life. So how does your testimony demonstrate phenomenal faith?
So my testimony was just really about digging deep and really getting in that space of tapping into your faith. And so basically, like I said, I've been on my own since I was 16 years old. Again, like a lot of the other women, I suffered a lot of trauma. My mom died when she was 29 years old. And so, but there was a foundation of faith that was rooted in me from my great grandmother. And this project allowed me to really reflect on that and really help me really see those times and remember and really realize like how much my faith really pulled me through. Sometimes we don't really realize it when we're in it. And so it allowed me to go through the process of that valley experience, right? When you're at your lowest points and you're at your darkest points and you really don't see how you're going to make it out. But as I was writing, I was like, wow, like God was with me at every single, he was with me along throughout the whole journey. Like even when it felt like there was no one else there, you don't realize it, but he's there. And so just writing, like I said, just really helped me reflect on that space and just how I tapped into, pull in to allow that to get me out. I'm so nervous.
Listen,
Yes.
all of you are doing fine. You're doing fine. The other ladies are doing fine. And listen, for the viewers and listeners that are tuned in, so many times we allow fear to hold us back from what it is that we desire, to hold us back from what God is calling us to do. But just look at these women on your screen, because, honey, them and all of the other co-authors that are a part of this book said, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it even though I am scared. I'm going to do it even though I am nervous. And how can we do that in our own lives, in our own spiritual walks with Christ? That is a question of the day. How can we do it anyway, despite what we're feeling, despite what we see with our eyes? Because sometimes we allow that to block us as well. Over here in the comments, I see them coming all in. Yes, feel free to stay engaged. Miss Talia says, I am so proud of you, queens. There is so much power in sharing your stories. Thank you for walking in your purpose and allowing your testimony to empower others. Wendy says, God is good all the time. He is always on time. He blessed you 20 years later with a beautiful baby. Powerful lesson in believing in his grace. Absolutely. Miss Theta says, once we enter into our relationship with God, we will see the light. Awesome. Keep your comments coming. And if you missed it, if you're just tuning in, you are watching First Class Life Chats with some of the authors, not all of them, just some of them, because there's 35 total, of a groundbreaking book that releases this Thursday called First Class Life Devotional, 35 Testimonies of Phenomenal Faith Through Turbulent Times. And if you are a believer, you definitely have to get this book. If you are not a believer, you definitely have to get this book, because it is going to help you to overcome those obstacles. Because guess what? God is the same God for us as he is for you, which means the things that we have overcome in our lives, he will do the same for you, but it starts with phenomenal faith. And I think that's a great time to play this trailer again. amazing? Make sure that you are following and connected with your favorite co-authors so that you can find out how to get your free digital preview this Thursday, June 10th, okay? You have to stay connected so that you can get yours. And then after that, your co-author of your choice will, see, look, we all mess up. It doesn't matter who you are. What's important is that you embrace the flaws and you keep going. Listen, lessons all through this live tonight. Make sure you stay connected with your favorite co-author, because after you get your digital preview, they will let you know how you can order your autographed copy, okay? So stay tuned. And this book is really going to do all kinds of things in your life. For the positive, that is, you are going to spiritually grow, you're going to personally grow, professionally grow, and all the ways to grow there is, that is going to happen. Because not only will you be able to spend time with each of these authors and their stories, but you will be able to reflect on how their story can make an impact in your life. What are the lessons that you can learn from their story, even if it's not exactly the same? Maybe you didn't go through an abusive relationship. Maybe you didn't go through grief and loss. Maybe you didn't go through a traumatic car wreck or infertility or anything like that. However, there are still lessons to be learned from each and every story, and you will be able to reflect and grow in your own life and how you can apply it to the things that you are going through. So let's bring another co-author to the stage. Her name is Miss Diva Moore. Please introduce yourself and give us a summary of your chapter.
We might want to unmute.
There we go.
Good evening, Lindsay. Good evening. I'm sorry that I arrived late, but I am here. My name is author Diva Moore. I am an author, a motivational speaker, and success strategist. I wrote about my journey after the Great Recession, like a lot of people who were entrepreneurs during the Great Recession, who were in the real estate industry. I got wiped out. I lost everything. And I went through a 2-year depression. I wasn't homeless, but I was always teetering on it. And at some point, God just called me. He gave me the opportunity to leave the East Coast and follow an old friend to Denver with nothing. I knew no one here except her. And for my purposes, she was my Naomi. She had already been here. And the story of what, like a lot of people, when you make a leap of faith, you expect that if you trust God, that the reward is right away. And a lot of times it doesn't work like that. There's a little bit of time, a little lull. And you hear women especially say, well, I did it, Lord, now what? And that's what my story is about. My story is literally what I learned by working through the lull, working while I waited. And I drew during that time on the book of Ruth. It's one of the shortest books in the Bible. I didn't deal with the romance part of it, but I really dealt with the fact that Ruth had the mindset that whether it works or not, this is what I'm going to do. I'm taking this leap and I'm going to work till it works. And we can all take a story from that. So without going into great detail into my story, my personal story, that's what it really is for the woman who has taken the leap of faith and is looking around thinking she's embarrassed, like it didn't happen. It will happen, but you have to work while you wait.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And how many of you can honestly say that you're working while you're waiting? You may be delaying your own blessing because you won't do the work. Let me bring all of our co-authors for tonight back onto the stage. Aren't they so beautiful? Again, make sure you are connected to at least one, if not many of them, so that you can find out how to get your free digital preview this Thursday, June 10th. You're going to hear me keep saying that because I need you to set your alarms and remember this Thursday, June 10th. We are on the road to becoming bestsellers and we need your help and support to do that. So make sure sure that you are following and connected with at least one of these beautiful women so that you can get your free digital preview this Thursday. When? June 10th. And then afterwards, they will be able to tell you the details of how you can get your signed copy. So ladies, I know that it has been a wild and crazy 3 months. And I know that your testimonies are going to impact so many people. Why? Because there's a saying that if the devil ain't messing with you, he don't consider you a threat. And so many of the co-authors have went through so many things in these last 3 months alone, and for them to just continue to keep pushing and to continue to show up and put themselves in that vulnerable place and share their testimonies so that they can be of help and of a service to you out there, the reader, that's going to get your copy when? Thursday, June 10th. I know, like, I'm just so proud of them. I couldn't be any more honored than I am for allowing me to be a part of this journey. And I just want to ask a few more questions. So let's go with Miss Angela. Yes. I want you to share with the listeners and viewers, what is the main thing that you want them to take away from your story?
So the main thing that I want you guys to take away from my story is, regardless on how far God feels away from you, He literally is right there. Through this entire experience, when I was sitting there in a chemo with my mom, I just could not understand why a woman of her faith, because I'm not even talking about my faith, her faith, was going through what she was going through, and just why was he allowing her to go through that. And in this entire experience, at the end of everything, this whole thing had to do with me. It was about my faith and building my faith and me understanding that he's always here. So that is exactly why the title is Father, Why Have You Forsaken Me? Because at the end of the day, he hasn't forsaken me. He's been here the whole time.
Yes. I love that. And Miss Letitia, tell them, what do you want them to take away from your story?
That no matter what it looks like, God placed everything that we need to overcome on the inside of us. Sometimes we just have to go through our process, even when we're in our darkest days. If we lean in, if we seek Him, He is there with us, and He will, if we have the faith, we will overcome. We will get through it. There's nothing too big for God. Really, that's just what I want everybody to take away from my story, is that if my word is faith and courage, if you have the faith and the courage, God will bring you through.
Absolutely. Miss Nikki, share with the viewers and listeners, what is some advice that you can give to them that may also be struggling with, just being patient through the wait?
Well, I would love to share with anyone who's struggling with anything, not just, trying to conceive, but just to know that, meditation, it's not a new age thing, it's a God thing. And I think a lot of people really just kind of misunderstand what that's all about. They think, oh, you're Buddhist, or no, it's a spiritual, godly thing. We have to really sit down in silence when we're praying and we're asking God for whatever it is, wisdom, grace, just courage, love, everything, whatever we ask for. We need to understand that we're praying to God and we're asking Him for things, but we have to know that for Him to answer us, we have to sit in meditation and be silent, because that's when He speaks to us. That's when you get the answers to what you're supposed to do next, what steps to take to make that happen. And if you don't sit down in silence, nothing you do is not in walking with God, because you don't know where to go because you're not listening. And He answers your prayers by you listening and understanding that your intuition is what He's giving you to guide you, and just to not give up, and to be silenced in your body, your spirit, and in your mind, and to never give up and think that God is not hearing you and he's not there for you and He's gifting you in other ways. but that he will gift you if you continue to believe and stay in faith, and it will happen for you.
Yes, yes, yes. Listen, y'all better make sure y'all are connected so you can get your free digital preview this Thursday, June 10th, okay? And Miss Darling Diva Moore, please also share with the listeners and the viewers some ways that they can, get through the struggle of the waiting process.
What worked for me, and I don't really talk about this in the book, but you're asking a different question. What worked for me was the initial work that I did was literally Paul's work. I worked for those less fortunate than myself. First of all, it's going to give you some perspective. Okay, let's just get, this is how I coach people. It's going to give you some perspective, girlfriend. With however hard you think God is putting it on you. I met a man who I cried because I had no shoes, and then I met a man who had no feet. Okay, so the tribulations, the trials, all of that, if you don't know where to start your work, do God's work. Jesus said, or Paul said, the poor are always with us. There is always work to do in God's kingdom. Okay. And that is rewarding work, even if you're not paid for it. I started when I first moved to Denver, not knowing anyone. How I got famous quick was I did community service. Community service in any community that is a community of color or underserved. We all have gifts. Go volunteer your time. You become known as someone who walks the walk. So if you're struggling with, what do I do, Lord, while I wait? And you have your job, you have your kids. What do I do to show you that I'm preparing? Go work amongst his people. Go work amongst those less fortunate.
Yes, yes, yes. You got to do the work. You got to do the work. And that's a thing to remember. No matter what we're going through, it could always be worse. So we have to be grateful for the things that we have. We have to be grateful for the things that are and for are not. So, Miss Melissa, what would you like readers to take away from your testimony?
I think the most important thing is to remember that God doesn't love you any less. We make mistakes. We might have to start over and over. Maybe like for me, I might say in my head or write down that I want to have devotional time 10 days in a row. And I might fall short, but that's okay. God does not love me any less. And just like our children make mistakes. Do you love them any less? We do not. Like, just remembering that and just keep moving forward, keep taking that action, and just keep working it, keep doing the steps, and just walk your purpose.
Absolutely. We have to do the steps and keep going and know that if we fall, we can always get back up, okay? Too many times we want to sit and throw ourselves a pity party whenever things don't go the way we want them to go. And then we're upset when we're in the same space 10 years from now, 5 years from now, heck, even next month. But we have to be willing to get back up. And Miss Aisha, please share with the listeners and viewers, what would you like readers to take away from your story?
Cute. What I would like readers and viewers to take away from my story is when you go through difficult times, God is still there. And when God brings you out of those difficult times, sometimes it's tempting to still be there and not allow God to restore us. And so one of the things that God pressed upon my heart during that time was the scripture of the 3 Hebrews, where the king threw the 3 Hebrews into the fiery furnace, and they were walking around and they emerged, right? And they didn't smell like smoke. And so what the Lord was showing me is that I might have been in the fiery furnace, but I had emerged, but I wanted to sit there right down on the edge of it and not move. Right? You know, the same edge where with the soldiers who threw the people in got burnt up and died. I wanted to sit there and post up there and cry a pity party about why I had to go through what I went through. And then God literally had to pick me up, move me like he did Lot's wife, to be like, come on, if you don't leave, you're gonna die, right? And so it's literally like he had to do that for me. And then when he moved me, I still sat there and threw myself a pity party and said, what was me? And it finally dawned on me. I'm like, he's moved me, he saved me, he's kept me, but I refuse to allow him to restore me. And there's a big difference between coming up out of the valley, coming out the fiery furnace, and allowing God to restore you, heal you, and allow you to be able to move forward into the destiny and the place that he has us to be. And so that's what I want people to realize. There's a difference between getting out, and there's a difference between getting out and restoration, and allow God to restore you. Don't stay in that same place of hurt.
I love that. I love that. Make sure y'all know the difference. Sometimes he will send the tools, but we aren't meditating, like Nikki said, and so we miss the tools. And sometimes he will remove the things, but yet we're still trying to hold on to the very things that are causing us the pain and the strife and all of those. So listen, if you want more details on how you can get over your obstacles, how you can be restored, how you can be still and hear his voice, how you can just get through all of the struggles that you are going through, make sure you tune in this Thursday, June 10th. Be connected with your favorite author so that you can figure out the details of how to get your free digital preview of the book, First Class Life Devotional, 35 Testimonies of Phenomenal Faith Through Turbulent Times. And Miss Annie, what advice would you give to the listeners and viewers on how they can demonstrate phenomenal faith in their life?
Staying on this call when all my electronics are failing intermittently. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry.
No, that is awesome. Look, a live demonstration of phenomenal faith through a technical turbulent time.
Right? My dog randomly comes. Anyways, in regards to what I went through, Bear says hello. In regards to what I went through in my chapter of sharing my faith through turbulent times, for me, it was trusting that I didn't have to do it on my own. That I love volunteering so near to and dear to my heart. But I would volunteer and I would push my pain aside. And I would get so involved in it, and then I'd move on. And the volunteering turned into veteran suicide prevention. And it was such a huge blessing for me. But there were very trying times that I didn't think I could do anything anymore. And I did, in fact, walk away. But once I accepted that I have God and I'm not alone and I don't have to do it alone, and I can just be at that point to help someone and help guide them and see them come to Christ with love and God in their heart, and see them evolve and grow and not want to take their lives anymore. It's nothing but God. It really is nothing but God. And that's what I want people to take away from it. There's lots more other stuff in there, but that's the takeaway.
They got to get the book. They got to get the book.
Right? Absolutely. I love y'all. I do. I love y'all.
And we love you. We love you.
I gotta mute.
Share with the listeners and viewers how they can demonstrate phenomenal faith in their lives.
So I think that in life you have two choices. You can either react to the negative emotions, but you will never receive the abundant life God has ordained for you, or you can respond in faith with the knowledge that God is sovereign. Then you can get the victory, knowing that you have dominion and authority and you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And so we have to make a decision whether we want to respond or whether we want to react. It's a choice.
I love that. It is always a choice, people. Always a choice. You can either choose to be the victim to your circumstances or to be a victor over your obstacles. And you have to allow God into your life to help you be that victor, because too many times we're trying to do it on our own when He is our biggest helpmate. So that brings us right back to the theme of this book, having that phenomenal faith. And if you are still unsure how to have phenomenal faith for whatever it is that you are going through in your life, then make sure that you are connected with one of these authors so that you can learn how to get your free digital preview of First Class Life Devotional, 35 Testimonies of Phenomenal Faith Through Turbulent Times. And the comments are coming in so fast, I can't even keep up with them right now. So y'all will have to go back and look through the comments. I'm going to just have to take a pause on those, okay? So make sure you're connected with your author so that you can get your free digital preview of First Class Life Devotional, 35 Testimonies of Phenomenal Faith Through Turbulent Times, because these stories are going to truly make a positive impact in your spiritual growth, in your personal growth, and every single thing you need to help get you to that next level. And if you're sitting at home and you're listening or you're watching and you're thinking, I'm not going through anything right now. Well, listen. That doesn't mean that you won't be going through something tomorrow. And that's just all the more reason to demonstrate phenomenal faith, because if fortunately you are not going through any obstacles or struggles, that means you still have some phenomenal faith that you need to do, because your actions are connected to someone else's breakthrough, just like someone else's breakthrough is connected to you. So we have to always, always, always be displaying phenomenal faith, even when things are good, because we're all connected in this together, okay? We are all connected in this world, in this universe, under God's light. And so it's important that we show up and we share our stories. And I'm just, again, so proud of these authors who have been willing to pour their hearts out and share their testimonies and be vulnerable and be transparent and just lay it out there of how they had their phenomenal faith. Even when their faith was a little bit wavering and struggling, they still pushed through and allowed God to move them. And they're still pushing through, also that they can use their testimony to help you push through as well. So make sure that you can, again, connect with your favorite author so that you can find out the details on how to get your free digital preview this Thursday, June 10th. And then afterwards, they will be able to share with you the details on how you can get your autographed copy. So with that said, make sure you tune in tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, as we bring back another group of these 35 phenomenal people that are a part of this First Class Life Devotional. If you missed any part of today, go back and watch the replay. If you missed yesterday, go back and watch the replay. And then set your alarms and make sure that you are here at 8 p.m. Eastern sharp to hear from the next group of co-authors in this amazing project. We have authors from multiple countries and from states all across the U.S. So different ages, different backgrounds, different races and ethnicities, and all the things. There are at least one, if not many, stories that you will be able to connect to. And as I mentioned earlier, you will still be able to learn something from each and every story. But you got to get your copy of the book to figure out how. So again, connect with your favorite co-author so that you can get the details on how to get your free digital preview this Thursday, June 10th. And afterwards, they'll share with you how you can get your autographed copy. So with that said, let's watch this beautiful trailer and get all the feels one more time to take us out. But before we do that, let me just put everybody back on the screen right there. You see them, those 35 beautiful faces. And there's the book right there in the corner. And now, without further ado, let's close it out right here.